Many of us dream of achieving success, of mastering our passions and of sharing our skills with the world. We look up to men who seem to have figured it out, men who are masters of a specific domain, men who fearlessly jump into any challenge, bringing their expertise to find solutions to the most complex problems. Have you ever wondered, friend, what would you need to do to achieve mastery in a domain? What steps do you need to take to become independent with your skills? And more importantly, what does it take to put all your learned theories and abstractions into practice in the real world and solve real problems when you have no experience? You see, friend, during your school years where you learned language, writing, math and reasoning skills, you were still under the watchful guidance of your parents and teachers. With time, you advanced your knowledge through books, absorbing as much information as possible about various subjects. Such knowledge of history, science or literature is abstract, and the process of learning involves passive absorption. But once you graduate and emerge from the youthful state of dependency, once you are tossed into the world to engage with real problems, you are not ready to handle the transition to an entirely independent state, and all your abstract skills learned throughout the years are somehow largely unsuited for the practical, self-directed phase of life that you encounter in the real world. This is the point when you might ask yourself, how can I master the domains I seem to be so passionate about, if what I learn doesn't ideally fit real-world scenarios? And to be able to answer such a question, you need to know that achieving mastery in any domain requires another step in between gathering knowledge and being able to provide real and practical solutions. A step that receives little attention, since it is a phase that does not contain stories of great achievements and discoveries. Such a step of initiation in the real world is called apprenticeship, a period of a few years where your mind will transform in ways you cannot see, but such a transformation will contain all the seeds needed for your future success. The apprenticeship phase of your life must be conducted in your own way, and the principle behind it is simple. The goal is not money, a good position, a title or a diploma, but rather the transformation of your mind and character by grounding your abstract knowledge in reality in the objective world through action and failure. You will learn how to work with others and how to handle criticism in a process that will transform you from an impatient and distracted man into a man who is focused and disciplined with a mind that can handle complexity. In the end, you will master yourself and your skills. If by now I managed to grab your attention, here are a few points that will help you navigate the apprenticeship phase. The most important element will be to choose places to work and positions that offer the greatest possibility for learning. Practical knowledge is the ultimate commodity that will bring you rewards for decades to come. Here are the steps that will help you craft your future. Whenever you enter a career or a new field, you will move into a world with its own rules, processes and social dynamic. For decades, sometimes for centuries, people have compiled knowledge of how to get things done in a particular field, with each generation improving on the past. Your first task upon entering a domain is to observe and absorb its reality as deeply as possible. The greatest mistake that you can do in the initial months of your apprenticeship is to imagine that you need to get attention, impress people and prove yourself, because any positive attention that you receive is deceptive and not based on your skills or anything real, and it will turn against you. Do your best, friend, to acknowledge your reality and give yourself space to observe. If you impress people in these first months, it should be because of your desire to learn, not because you are trying to rise before you are ready. In this observation phase, take note of the rules and procedures that govern success in your new work environment and pay attention to how things get done. Sometimes these elements will be communicated to you directly, other times you can observe them through the dynamics of the environment. Watch also the power dynamics that exist in the work group. Who has real control, to whom do all communications flow, who is working hard and smart and who is on the decline. What you observe may be dysfunctional or counterproductive, but your job is not to moralize and complain, but to understand your surroundings. Use every opportunity and every task that you are given to understand your work environment inside and out. Think of it as an ecosystem that you need to learn to navigate, and your knowledge of every detail of this ecosystem will give you many more options to survive and succeed. By doing this, You will build for yourself an eye for human psychology and also strengthen your ability to focus, observe and analyze, a skill that is very important in the creative phases of your life. At some point, friend, you will enter the second stage, practice towards acquiring skills. Every endeavor or career path involves the mastering of skills. In some domains, this is direct and obvious, like operating a tool or building something physical. Think of building a table as a carpenter. In other domains, this task is a mix of physical and mental elements, like handling people as a doctor. Do your best to reduce the number of skills that you need to build to something simple and practical, the core of what you need to get good at. The natural mode of learning is watching and imitating others, repeating the actions over and over. The principle is simple: the more you do it, the better you become. Even skills that are primarily mental, like programming or speaking a new language, follow the same idea: learning through practice and repetition. Keep in mind, friend, that as you do this, you enter a cycle of accelerated returns, in which the practice becomes easier and more interesting, leading you to practice for longer hours, which increases your skill level, which in turn makes practice even more interesting. Set a goal to reach this cycle by understanding the following simple principles. Begin with only one skill that you need to master and that serves as a foundation for acquiring others. Accept and embrace the unavoidable boredom and banality that you will face in the beginning phases of learning something new. Build your discipline to meet this boredom head on instead of avoiding it, because it will bring you benefits down the line. Stick to the hard and tedious parts and reap the great pleasures that mastery can bring. Remember, friend, that throughout this process you not only learn a new skill, but you also transform yourself. Your sense of pleasure becomes redefined, and you will notice that the elements that once offered immediate pleasure now seem like distractions, empty entertainment to pass the time. Real pleasure will come from overcoming challenges, feeling confidence in your abilities, gaining fluency in your skills, and experiencing the power all these elements bring. You develop patience. Boredom no longer signals the need for distraction, but rather the need for new challenges to conquer. The time that you invest in developing your skills will add up, and after a while, some say that the magic number is 10,000 hours. You will master each skill, one by one. Hour upon hour of effort will pay off, and now you can become creative and playful with all the skills that you gathered. Practice is great, but as you gain skill and confidence, you must make a move to a more active mode of experimentation. This could mean taking on more responsibility, initiating a project of some sort, doing work that exposes you to the criticism of your peers or even the public. The point of this is to measure your progress and whether there are still gaps in your knowledge. In this phase, you are observing yourself in action and seeing how you respond to the judgments of others. On your journey towards mastery, this will be the hardest step to make, since it will require you to fully step out of your comfort zone, out of the known spectrum of knowledge and into the unexplored realms of your domain. Your fears and doubts will multiply tenfold, friend. Your character will be tested. You will need to move past your doubts and learn to be detached from your work, to see it with the eyes of others. All of this under the judgmental eyes of everyone. To achieve mastery in any domain, you will need to dare to take this final step. You will need to put your knowledge and skills to work and explore uncharted waters, and you will need to challenge known ideas. Can you go through such a phase? Can you humbly accept criticism and use it constructively? Can you handle constant failure while always giving your best, because beyond your failures lies a hope that in the eyes of the world might very well be an illusion? I dare you to answer yes, friend, and to be humble enough to chase excellence in your chosen field. Mastery begins with humility. Are you willing to go through the process to attain it?